Good morning, guys. It's been a while since we uploaded our video. Vanessa is here now.
Yay!
She's been missing in action for the past month. As you can see, it's really cold here. We are in Maine right now. I think today is like in the single digits Fahrenheit. For a quick update, we left California on the 5th, and we've been here in Boston and Maine for the past couple of weeks, you know, just visiting friends and family. And we are actually leaving for London in a couple of days.
Yay!
Yeah, so it's been a really hectic and busy
Yeah.
couple of weeks, just researching camper vans in London to buy.
Today, so we thought we might just, well, obviously update you, but also just go through our process so far of like going through camper vans and looking for like packing and everything, and at the same time we're just going to give you a little bit of advice too, what to look for when you're looking for your camper van, and like some questions to ask and things to think about while you're in this process.
Yep, so well, we're gonna go back inside. It's really cold. So we'll see you guys in a bit.
Hey guys, so the last couple days we've done a lot of research on looking up camper vans that we potentially are going to buy when we get to the UK later this week, actually, so it's pretty soon. So we've been using two main websites. The first one is essentially the same as Craigslist here, but it's called Gumtree, and it's actually the same one that we use in Australia too. And the second is eBay. eBay is a little bit harder just because there's the auction period and everything. But primarily we've just been contacting a lot of the sellers and trying to set up times to see the vehicles that we're interested in.
Yeah, we've been spending about, I don't know, I've been spending about 2 hours every morning, 2-3 hours every morning, just looking through, you know, little new listings and just contacting people. It's a lot of work.
But it is our future home, so
Yeah.
it's worth it. Okay, so we wanted to talk a little bit about what you might want to consider if you are looking into buying a vehicle. And this is the process that we're basically doing right now for ourselves as well. So the first thing you might want to think about is what kind of vehicle you want. There's everything from cargo vans to RVs to minivans or even sedans, SUVs. So this is a question you kind of have to ask yourself. Do you want the functionality of an entire RV with everything in it, or do you want something that's a little easier to drive and park, like a smaller vehicle? For us, that was the big draw for the Element. That was great. It was super stealth and really easy to maneuver and park anywhere. So that's something that you can think about what is important to you.
For us, initially we are looking at camper vans where we can stand up in to be able to cook, a little bit more comfortable this time, just because we've been living in a really small Element for the past year and a half. So something different. The more we look at it, the more we realize it's really expensive, and it's a lot of them are it's really not worth what they listed for, we feel like. So now we kind of looking at cheaper vans, I guess, or even back to like a family van, like a minivan. Now we're keeping options a little bit more open. Maybe just pay a little bit less and just get a vehicle that's just enough for us, sort of like the Element. But still, we are definitely looking for something that is big enough for us to be able to cook inside, because it's winter there right now. So
Right, so that's like Phil's saying, another consideration you might have for yourself is whether you want a vehicle that you can stand up in completely. With the Element, we could actually not even sit up in the bed completely, but that was fine for what we were doing. For this, since we are looking at being able to cook inside and everything, we want a little bit more headspace, and that might come in the form of a pop top or one that has a converted high top on the top of the van, or just, you know, a taller van in itself. So we've been looking at a few different options that are on Gumtree, but again, you kind of have to balance out all these things that you want.
we might not be able to get what we want in the end, but we'll see. We still have about a week to decide.
The next thing to think about is the cooking situation. So there's a few different things about this. the biggest one is whether you're cooking inside or outside. So with our Element, we were cooking outside all the time. We didn't really have an option. But we're looking at these vans now that have possibly a stove or at least space enough inside so that we can cook inside. But when you do cook inside, you also have to look at whether there's ventilation within the car and also what kind of fuel you're using. So there, you have options there too. You can look at propane or you can look at alcohol. We'd likely go with propane, and it seems like most of the vehicles we've been looking at all do propane as well. So that's probably what's going to happen for us, right?
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, but the cooking situation for us, we definitely want to go on the inside route this time. The next point that you might want to look at is the bathroom situation. So again, is this something you want that's incorporated into your vehicle? This again will also create more problems, or not problems, but more work in terms of dumping. So if you do want to have something that's kind of like an RV style, you will have to dump properly. Otherwise, if you're like us in the Element, you just always go to public bathrooms and just try not to have to go at night. But this is something that we also kind of, it's not the most important point for us, I think.
No, it's definitely more convenient, I'd say. We've been looking, it seems like in the UK there are a lot more professional build, like RV camper vans. Not the size of like real big RVs, but like van size RVs. So we've been looking at those. They have a really nice kitchen setup. They have a little bathroom area. Some even have a shower. So we've been looking at those. It would be really nice to have, but again, with the price range and some of the some of the years that the van are being built, are selling, might not worth the price.
A few other things that we look at too is having a second battery. We've had that in all of our vehicles so far, and that I think for us has been really important, and we use it all the time. Since we will be traveling a lot too, it's not going to be the same as when we were in the Element, where we could always just charge at school or at work. So this is a little bit more important. There are a few vehicles that have even solar panels set up with their second battery, so that makes it really convenient, because that means that even if you're staying in a few days in a city and you're not driving so much, it's okay.
So right now, with the second battery, we feel like it's not, well, we've been looking at vans and some doesn't have a second battery built in, but I think for us, as long as the price is right, we don't mind buying a second battery ourselves and installing it ourselves. So, yeah. But yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, so that's another negotiable point. But although most of them do have second batteries, they sometimes refer to it as a leisure battery instead of a second battery. So one more thing that we've been looking at too is whether there are options for heat. So heat, especially because we're coming in the winter, is important in this case. I mean, we're no longer in sunny California where there's like nothing lower than, I don't know, 20 degrees. So, so there are a lot of really cool vans that we've seen that have fire, like real wood stoves in them, which is like pretty awesome.
We saw 2 so far,
but they're usually quite expensive.
Yeah, they're pretty fancy stoves.
Yeah, it's really fancy. Some of them have electric heat, and other people just have like a little buddy heater or something like that. So in that case, you still need to make sure you have enough electricity, a power source for that.
The stoves would definitely make our pictures look really nice on Instagram.
So there is that factor too. We've been looking at how photogenic the van is. Yeah. There's some really crappy looking ones out there.
But yeah, we probably won't get one with a stove.
Yeah.
Because they're really expensive.
It's pretty hard to find. So those are a few questions you might want to ask yourself. This could just be more questions of lifestyle for you, whether you're comfortable not having a bathroom, or, if you find you don't cook much, then maybe cooking that whole kitchen situation is not a problem for you. So just a few things to keep in mind when you look at your vehicle. And this stuff is all outside of the actual mechanical questions that you might have for your car. So that one, I'll let Phil explain a little bit about what we've been doing.
With the mechanics, I've been basically, obviously we're still here in the States. We can't go look at the car in person. But basically the questions that I've been asking is the mileage of the car if they're not listed already. How's the suspension and shocks? Have they been replaced or serviced? The brakes, brake pads and rotors. The clutch, because, well, most of the cars in the UK and Europe are all manual. The tires, or what's the condition of the tires? Like, have they replaced the engine belt? If they're not chain belts or chains, I guess that's what you call it. Oil change, are there any rust? And lastly, I found this really helpful in the UK is you can actually check the car, the inspection history.
In the UK, it's called a MOT,
Yeah.
MOT, which stands for Ministry of Transport. And I guess it's a yearly requirement that you have to get this tested, inspected basically. And it seems to be quite a thorough inspection. And they do it every year, and then they give you either recommendations for what it needs to pass if it fails. And they also give you advisories if there's other things.
We can show you, guys.
Right. Yes. So this is the website. It's just the government gov.uk website, and you can check a MOT history. So if you have a registration plate that you know or you can ask, you put that in, and then it will pull up the entire information about it. And so you can see this will tell you when it was, if it passed, what its current mileage is, and you can see any of the previous exams. So here you can see there was advisory notices saying, you know, there's some issues that you might want to look into. Previously it had failed, and they give you the reasons for failure. So obviously it means that the person went back, fixed this thing, and then got the MOT test again. So it's kind of a nice way to look at the history of the car to see, you know, how it has been doing and what have been fixed and that sort of thing, and possibly even if there were any accidents, because sometimes they will write those types of things in there. So yeah,
so that's really nice, and it's free. You don't have to pay for anything. So
easy
just to
to
give
check.
you an idea, yeah. So I just been emailing people with like 8 or 9 questions, and if they have any extra photos that they could show us, that way we don't have to waste time, you know, meeting them, and doesn't waste their time, doesn't waste our time. And
especially because we've been finding a lot of these listings are not in London and can be as far as like a 5-hour drive north or something from London. So we want to make sure that it's something that's worth us driving all the way out there. We do have a rental car for the first few days that we're there, so we're just going to make our rounds, go around and see the vehicles, and then see where that gets us.
So that's it, guys. By next week, you will see us in the UK, and hopefully we'll see our new van, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
From now on, we will be uploading videos regularly, once a week, or maybe even twice a week sometimes. So,
since we don't have jobs now.
Yeah, or school.
Or school.
So we will see you guys next week in London. Bye, guys.
Bye.